Yeah.
Or will Twitch let you know if people are watching?
Well, we are live now, Travis. That is
We don't have to record just yet.
Oh, I mean, we're recording right now, Travis. We're live.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we can just kind of chill here while people file in. Here's the real question, Travis. Breaking the fourth wall here. Are we doing separate audio? Do we want to do that again? I think it went pretty well without it. Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that crap.
We don't. When I clicked on the Twitch link, it shows us live, but can you see if anybody's actually watching that?
I can certainly take a look.
So we know if it worked.
Well, let's take a look, Travis. Let's take a look.
Eric said he cannot tonight. Hopefully next episode.
Wow.
You're not a real one.
Right now it's showing 0 viewers, but that's okay.
Okay.
Well, let's take a look, Travis. Let me turn the volume down on that. So yeah, we're sitting strong. I'm okay. I mean, I don't need viewers, okay?
Let's kick it off. If it happens, it happens.
Let's kick it off. Here we are, Losing Sucks, episode 50. Travis, we made it. This is the pinnacle of all entertainment. We finally
big 5-0.
This was our goal. 50 episodes. So thank you for coming to the best episode of Losing Sucks. It's our first live show. And that is
our first live show.
It is our first live show. And honestly, Travis,
when you think of number 50, do you think of AJ Hawk or Singletary from the Bears?
God. Singletary.
Hard comparison there.
Yeah. AJ Hawk gives me indigestion.
Okay.
I didn't like him in college. He came out and ruined the Bears' lives for years. It was just a bad time all around.
He's a good Packer, man. He's one of the
guys is there such thing? Is there such thing as a good Packer?
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
Sounds like Darren Waller to me today.
That's a hard pass.
He sounds like a good Packer.
What? Yeah, what a rumor to come out a few days before draft. Like that.
I don't know. It.
For all of the
I have a lot of Waller.
All of the Derek Carr truthers out there would be like, but Devontae Adams.
I think that would bump Devontae a few spots for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then Renfro's right back in the mix.
Oh yeah. Yeah, then we're right there. Renfro. Oh gosh, I love that guy.
I gave up a first for Renfro right before the playoffs last year.
It's a bold move, but somehow these moves just keep they keep working out for you. I wish I had that kind of luck. Instead, I get drunk and I guess I trade. I've made some stupid trades.
No, I acquired Renfro for a 23 first.
Yeah. You traded a 23
because I had a hole in the roster and I was making a run at the championship.
Exactly.
You have to go though. When you're there, you have to go.
I hope one day I can make the other side of that trade happen. I hope I can sell Renfro for 23 first.
I'm the kind of guy that would do it for you.
Yay.
What do we got on the sheet tonight?
It's Travis?
A bloodbath.
It's going to be this. All right. So to give the audience some context, we have been going back and forth for like the past week because I found out a terrible, terrible truth that Travis Masterson does not think that Breece Hall is any good. He compared
I didn't word it like that. Tell him exactly how I gave it to you.
You said he sucks, and then you
compared him. Sucks.
You compared him. No, you didn't even compare him. You said that he was a worse prospect than Royce Freeman.
I believe it said he is Royce Freeman,
which is still an insult to everyone except for Royce Freeman.
If you watch the tape, you will see more explosiveness in Royce Freeman. I digress. We have a long way to go in this Breece Hall debate tonight. It's not going to be that long, but we both have some punches to throw.
Got another debate on tap as well. Following that, we've got a Darnell Mooney, Michael Pittman debate, which
can't wait.
It's like you give me the stick to beat you with, you know? Like,
what did I say about Michael Pittman? Similar wording.
Too much. Yeah. The blasphemy I've heard. And then we're going to kind
like
of
Michael Pittman sucks.
and then we're going to finish it off with some Saquon Barkley talk.
I like it.
We set these things up. We want to talk about these things, and then we always end up going off track. So it's nice that we have kind of a roadmap, so to speak. But I don't see us sticking 100% to. We're gonna go off on some tangents. That's what makes this thing
going
fun.
down.
But first of all, let's get it kicked off right now. What exactly did Breece Hall do to you and or a loved one that would just facilitate such ugly words from you?
Conceptually, this is why it caught my attention. The last month or two has been so magnified because we're getting to the draft,
right?
That you're examining all these prospects closer than you ever have. Everybody is, including guys on the biggest networks.
It's all we have to talk about, Travis.
Just because you're the best of this group does not mean that you are worth the best of another group. Seeing Breece Hall or the 101 in a rookie draft being traded for somebody like Justin Fields in a super flex league is ridiculous to me.
Sure. I mean,
so that's what I'm saying. When I see stuff like that, I'm like, he's not that guy. If he was that guy, people would have been on Breece Hall for a year. I can't wait for him to come out.
I mean, they have been.
He's been killing at Iowa State.
Yeah.
It's not, but we didn't hear his name he wasn't even a top Heisman finalist. He was in the top 10, but he wasn't at the show. He's not McCaffrey. He's not Jonathan Taylor.
I didn't see him on TV, so I'm not a fan.
He's not that level guy to where you're like, oh my gosh. In a year from now, when he comes out, he's going to kill. It's like, oh, these are the guys we have. He's the best of this group.
Right.
So it magnifies I just don't. There's no way I'm giving up.
That's such a bad
surefire quarterback for Breece Hall. Tell me why Breece Hall is worth what people are paying right now.
Well, all right. So first of all, what people pay is just it's more speaking to the type of league you're in, because if I'm in a league and if I can trade the 101 for Justin Fields straight up, I'm doing it. Like 100% of the time, because in a super flex league, of course.
Would you give up DeAndre Swift for Justin Fields?
For Justin Fields? Ooh, that's tough.
So Breece Hall is some of our favorite sources have Breece Hall as Dynasty RB5.
Yeah.
You said absolutely not. Am I giving up Fields for him? And then I asked you RB2, DeAndre Swift, in that same top 5. You said, no, I'm not doing it. So is there that big of a teardrop, or does he not belong in the top 5?
I think he belongs in the top 5 based on talent. Honestly, like right now. I mean, we are days away from the draft. So right now, this information that we're kind of giving out there, our opinions are relevant for less than a week. So heck, I don't even think we're 5 days. We're like 3 days away. So Breece Hall's information, in regards to what we have access to, is about to 100% change. With the obvious set aside, though, I'm probably not going to give up, a DeAndre Swift for Justin Fields, because we know what DeAndre Swift is in this league. He's got the backfield pretty much to himself right now. In a super flex league, I think there's a world where, based on roster construction, I would feel okay trading, him for Justin Fields. I believe in Fields, so I could see myself making that trade, just because those types of quarterbacks are so hard to trade for. You rarely get an opportunity to trade for them.
Right.
With that being said, Breece Hall, based on talent, yes, he's in that conversation, but there's so many things that can go wrong. I've brought up the doomsday scenario a couple different times now. He goes to a number of different teams where it's just like, okay, he gets the early career Derrick Henry treatment, and then all of a sudden he's still a high-end talent, but he doesn't have the opportunity for maybe a year or two. So you never know.
Okay, I'm going to give you one stat that is important to me. And we use this stat, or I use this stat when we were talking about Kyle Pitts' 2022 season not being a world-changing Travis Kelce, prime Kelce type season.
Right.
So here's what I have for you before you absolutely go off on why Breece is a god. Two rookie running backs.
Yep.
In the last 4 seasons have finished inside the top 10 their rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you 40 running back seasons over the course of those 4 years. Of those 40 seasons of those guys, 2 of them, that is 0.05%. Not even 1%. Why is Breece Hall different? Why is he not in that 99.95 majority?
Mm-hmm. Well, the answer there is that he probably is in that majority. But that's not why you don't draft him number 1. Like that's not why he's great, because
the argument is not that he's not the 101. It's that you should trade the 101 for somebody better than Breece Hall.
If you're looking to compete now and you have if you can compete right now and you can trade the 101 for one of the guys you just said, if you can trade him for probably a Najee Harris, or you can trade him for like a DeAndre Swift, or get some sort of deal for like a Jonathan Taylor, sure. Just this year in mind, why not? Knowing what you know now, sure. But if you're like me and a lot of other players where you've got the 101 and you're rebuilding, there's no reason not to take Breece Hall, because talent-wise and agnostic of situation, Breece Hall is right up there with those guys. And you do not need a top 10 season from him season 1 for him to return value and to be worth that pick.
Because you can't get a guy like a Swift or Javonte Williams, you're not getting that level guy in Dynasty for that 101.
Not straight up usually.
Right. And the level of guy that 101 is equivalent to, as we discussed on last episode, is probably a Kamara, Dalvin Cook.
Right.
Those are guys that you could flip the 101 for. You're taking him over those guys in Dynasty
for sure,
because the unknown outweighs what you already know and the downside of the older running backs.
Right, because then you're getting into more the dynasty mindset. He's younger, he's got the talent profile, he's just as good a prospect. Think of him as like a Cam Akers type prospect, Cam Akers plus. I wouldn't trade the 101 right now for Cam Akers. That's where I'm at, because Saquon Barkley, or not Saquon Barkley, but Breece Hall is that type of talent. There's no reason just to go 1 for 1 when realistically you could get Cam Akers before he tore his Achilles, realistically. So there's no reason to do that. You look at all these other guys, you're taking him over, all right, perfect example. You put Javonte Williams at this pick, and what are you thinking? Are you just going to go ahead and
you're
trade the pick
Javonte
away? Exactly. And I think that Breece Hall's right there with him. But let's get more into.
He's the level athlete for you, because that's what your show sheet has. Facts and stats of why he is that guy. He's a Javonte level talent. My eyes don't tell me that watching it. So make the case for Breece compared to those elite physical Swift, Javonte, elite physical guys.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So strictly comparing him to like guys like DeAndre Swift and Javonte Williams right now, their current situations. You've got Javonte Williams, great situation right now. He's looking to right now today to be the workhorse in that backfield.
Okay.
But comparably, Breece Hall compares favorably to Jonathan Taylor. He's a 94th percentile athlete. He's got a 94th percentile speed or burst score. His college dominator is 94th percentile as well. Runs a 4.39. I mean, the guy is not slow. And just for frame of reference, last season, There were only 5 running backs with that type of college dominator playing in the league. Guys like Christian McCaffrey, Rashad Penny, James Robinson, Aaron Jones, and Austin Eckler. It's that kind of player who demands that type of workload and then is also, successful. It's a lot of, and you know what, your take that he's quote unquote slow or doesn't pop off the tape. I've heard that a lot.
Does he pop off the tape to you?
He does, but you know what? You have to know what you're looking for, because if you're looking for you brought up a great example in terms of why looking at tape is not just highlights, because I went back and watched your Royce Freeman tape, and a lot of those are just wide open Pac-12 running lanes where he was at Oregon and he was able to gallop through. What I look
as
for
opposed to West Virginia and Kansas.
As opposed to being able to stop on a dime and not lose his momentum.
He is able to stop on a dime, but the problem is when he gets through 5 to 10 yards. And I think that his line of scrimmage to first down line, 10 yards within that range is explosive. He looks elite. But when he gets beyond that first level, he's getting run down every time.
Yeah, but Travis, you don't have to have you're not running a 30, 40-yard run every single time. He runs a 4.39. You look at how many runs
you never think when he gets the ball he could house call this.
Oh, that is not true at all.
I never think. I watched so many highlights of him and I'm thinking there's no chance he scores. And sure enough, he gets run down on the sideline, tripped up.
No, man.
From first and goal, he's punching it in.
One of the rules.
But you give the ball to DeAndre Swift on the 50, and it's like he might score. Every time he touches the ball, you think he could score. Same with Dalvin Cook.
I feel the same way with Breece Hall. Hall. Because you know what? You get him in open field, and tell me how many guys are being the first one there and tackling that dude. He's making them miss 100%. He's very good at that. He had, I think, in the NCAA. I'll have to look and fact check this, but I'm pretty sure he had the most runs of 15 plus yards in the NCAA for the last 2 years. He's that good.
That's a big stat.
Yeah, he's a 97th percentile athlete. He broke out at age 18.
Does his 750 plus touches in college worry you at all about anything beyond 2 years? No. I saw a stat today when researching the argument against Breece Hall of, generally speaking, around 1,500 carries, there starts to be a decline. I'm not one to buy into that. I think it's totally dependent on the person, but he's already halfway there.
I think it depends on the type of touch. It was like 1,500 carries was where you typically see. I know what you're talking about. But I think that's the carry mark, not necessarily the touch mark, especially with a guy like Breece Hall, where a lot of his work can also be receiving work. You see guys like him, and Alvin Kamara have extended, productivity into their 30s because they haven't been run into the ground. 40 to 50% of their work is through the air, which is nice for fantasy and also longevity. Yeah. What I love, I just love throwing the little stats out there about Breece, though, because he right now is younger than Najee Harris and Gibson when they broke out. And if, to me, like, I don't like being just like an age groupie, like, oh my gosh, this guy hasn't been able to drink legally yet. Oh, I got to get him on my fantasy team.
Right.
I'm not trying to run a daycare over here, but Breece Hall is just a different kind of cat. When you said he was slow, it reminded me of the first time I watched his tape, because that was exactly the first thing I thought. I'm like, oh, he's another David Montgomery. And then I go and watch exactly what he's doing. He breaks the tackle, and then the way he's able to accelerate and be patient. You watch the few runs that he has, and granted, I've gotten better over the last year of actually watching the games and going back and actually looking at how they perform.
Right.
He doesn't have a lot of runs where it's just run through a wide gaping open hole. But when he does, Travis, those are the explosive type runs that you get to see. The only thing that you don't see, similar to, I hate saying Royce Freeman, but since he's our point of reference right now,
that's a pretty low bar to set there.
But Breece Hall, you get him a wide open lane, and you're not catching him just one-on-one unless you are running a 4-3-4-2. Like, the guy is going to be gone, and I think you're going to see that when you have these better offensive
That's a
lines
good
in the
point.
NFL.
That's a good point, and I think I should step back a little bit from saying that you're only elite if you can take it to the house from the 50-yard line, because
Right.
Najee's not doing that either. But I
No.
think Najee is an incredible athlete,
Yeah.
stupid talented.
He breaks tackles just in a different way. Like, you're not taking that guy on one-on-one.
That's fair. That's fair. You don't have to, break ankles and then be gone. You can do it
Right.
different ways. If it takes you 2 or 3 carries to get there and you still get there, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, look, I would love to just continue to be the ice cream man, handing out happy stats on Breece Hall. I've got a ton of them. You really set me off on this one. Like, I went down a rabbit hole. I'm like, oh, you don't even know.
I need you to explain. And this is just kind of an out there thing. I looked at his game logs from last season.
Sure.
The 3 games that they played against top 25 teams, he had 19 carries for 58 yards.
Okay.
21 carries for 70 yards.
Okay.
And 16 carries for 69 yards.
Okay.
So is that just an unlucky thing? We don't know the game script. We don't know what happened. Or is he just beating up on the bad ones is my question.
No, not at all.
Because if you go for 200 against TCU or 60 against number 8 Oklahoma State, is there a correlation there, or is it just kind of random?
I mean, it depends, because one, you're catching me. I don't know who the opponents were. That is my bad.
You had Oklahoma, Oklahoma State,
Okay.
and Iowa.
Okay, so 3 really good teams.
And they bottled him up.
Yeah. So first of all, Oklahoma and Iowa, 2 really good defenses in the Big 12, and or Big 10 and Big 12, I think. Oklahoma State, it's nothing to scoff at. Iowa State's had a really rough offensive line the last year or so as well. And honestly, the stats he threw out there, he's averaging right around 3 yards a carry. And on a bad game, if you're telling me I still get 3 yards a carry, that's not bad.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying, though. But every college player has bad games. If those are his,
I'm just saying,
quote unquote,
is there anything to that or not really?
I don't think so. I mean, it would be different if he were having games where it's 13 carries for 31 yards, and then you're not seeing any receptions. Then I would have questions. But he's involved throughout the entire game. So no, I wouldn't read too much into that.
My follow-up is now from the Dynasty Orphans League, where a lot of guys were making this bet. And I think I asked you the same bet. Do you think that Breece Hall is a top 15 running back in fantasy this upcoming season, 2022? Your initial response was yes, he's a top 15.
Yeah.
Most of the guys in that league also said he's a top 15.
Yeah.
So one thing we like to do is let's see who's in that group that he has to beat out.
For sure.
Okay. Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Javonte, and Swift are your top 10. I don't see him beating those names.
Okay.
Alvin Kamara depends on the suspension, but if he's not suspended, I have a hard time taking Breece Hall over Alvin Kamara.
Fair enough.
Leonard Fournette.
He good.
Nick Chubb, I would take Chubb.
Okay.
As it stands for Washington right now, I would still take Gibson. And so now you're at 14. This is the level where I think Breece Hall, if he's going to beat out Aaron Jones, potentially Barkley, who I still believe in. And then you get David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, James Conner. That's a beatable group for
sure.
that 14th, 15th spot.
I mean, you've got a guy like
he has to get
Damian
to work
Harris
immediately. It can't be one of these rookie situations where he starts to come on week 8. There's no chance of doing that if that happens.
I agree. And you know what? You get him on a team like the Texans. Everyone keeps talking about these dream scenarios. We always go to the dream scenarios in the draft. I love it, but it's also kind of like, okay, chill. There's 31 other teams. If he goes to the Bills, great. If he goes to the Texans, amazing. You know,
that's the poll I put out today. It was Bills in Houston, and it was 50-50 of where you would want him to go. So why does he have a better chance of being top 15 at either of those places to you?
I would say. I mean, there's arguments against for everything, but you go to the Bills, obviously you're going to get more goal line opportunities. Maybe they want Josh Allen to run less. You know, you get the Alfred Morris corollary with an option running quarterback where it's wider running lanes because you got to account for the quarterback. And then you've also got the Houston Texans where it's just who else is he going to compete with? You know, Rex Burkhead isn't going to take away, you know, your star running back. You know, you're not going to give Marlon Mack, David Johnson, whoever else is still there. You're not going to be taking those away from Breece Hall, you know. So I wouldn't worry.
Like it would have to be a Houston Atlanta situation.
Houston, Atlanta, I mean even the Jets.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't
somewhere where he's going to 250 carries is what it's going to take.
Yeah, and I think he could get there. Plus the receiving work, I think it's absolutely
I don't think
possible.
he gets there, though, in Buffalo. I don't think he has 250 carries in Buffalo. Singletary's still there. Duke Johnson's getting third down, decent amount.
Yeah, he'd probably end up in like the 210 to 215 range.
Right.
You probably have to ask for an not necessarily an outlier, but like a double-digit touchdown season, which wouldn't be out of the question with an offense like that. So
that's true.
I think that's more than reasonable. So
is he a top 15 running back?
I think he is going to be a top 15 running back, and to get in the right situation, I think he's top 12.
Is that because of certain guys? Just based on history, there's going to be 2 or 3 guys that get hurt,
right? Sure.
What if you could guarantee that nobody's getting hurt, would he still be in the top 15?
Yes. Yeah, he'd be in top.
All right. We're gonna have to think about what this bet is because I say he's outside the top 15. That'll be a fun one to watch.
Everything's after the draft because
that's true. We'll revisit it.
He goes to the Chargers and then it's like, okay, he's a top 24 back. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's chill.
Oh, that would piss me off, dude. I actually sold all my Eckler shares because you planted that seed in my mind.
No,
but I didn't sell them for cheap. I got Jonathan Taylor in the deal, so that was good.
That's solid. They are going to bring someone in. I really firmly believe they're going to bring someone in Los Angeles, whether it's a Brian Robinson, a Rashad White. I don't know who they like. I've got guys
someone in as in it's going to be a rookie.
It'll be a rookie, and you know what? It'll be a bigger body goal line guy, probably like a Melvin Gordon. You know what? If they go Kenneth Walker, it would not surprise me.
Why wouldn't they just go Melvin Gordon then?
Who knows? Maybe he wants too much monny.
The return of Melvin?
It's one of the thoughts that I had that I'm like, maybe they could bring him back. I think a rookie, you know, a third, fourth round rookie who'd cost you essentially nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Fits what you're building, and you just go and power up the secondary, or you bring in another offensive lineman. So I think that's going to be more optimal for them.
All right. So here's what I've learned on this debate.
Okay.
Part one of our debate show.
That Dustin's really great at debates.
I think that my bold calls of Breece Hall sucks were uncalled for.
Agreed.
I owe him an apology.
Yes.
While he does not suck, while it's disrespectful to put him in Royce Freeman's category, he's a guy that I'm going to have to see it to believe he's a top 15 running back in the NFL. Just because of my eye test telling me what we see at the combine and in his very best plays, basically of his life, I don't know that is transferable to on the field production versus the best athletes in the world. We will see. That's where I stand after
We're going to keep this video for a long time.
Yes, we are.
I'm going to repeat this for years. You don't know it yet. You do not know it yet. But my goodness, 10 years from now, when he's just now starting to decline, you watch.
When he's putting on his gold jacket.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the only piece of blasphemy that we've spoken on this week, Travis. We alluded to it earlier. And now there are a couple guys that we got to talk about. We have to talk about because one of them was my big calls last year. One of them is also on my favorite team. So with that being said, I'm going to need you to really paint me a rosy picture. I'm talking beautiful, brush strokes, wonderful color schemes. I need you to really set this canvas up for why in the heck do you think Darnell Mooney is going to outperform Michael Pittman this year? Because to me, that is off the wall bonkers.
Okay. I will give you 2 or 3 reasons, and then we can throw the graphic up at the end of my most important reasons. But
okay,
you and I both believe in Justin Fields, do we not?
Yeah, absolutely. I like his long-term prospects.
Do you think there's a significant jump from year 1 to year 2?
No.
So you think we see another season similar to what we just saw?
I mean, he'll improve, I think, but the Bears have not done a lot to surround him with a cast. You know, he's got a very, very questionable offensive line and one receiver.
Okay, so if one receiver is the argument, then we're going to keep that for the Michael Pittman take as well.
Okay.
Darnell Mooney coming off of 140 targets when he was not the only receiver. I believe the over of 160 targets for Darnell Mooney will happen.
Okay.
I think that they fully believe in him. He's a very confident, very humble guy that is going to one, outperform ADP.
Right.
Because most rankings have him 24 to 30, which I think is crazy. He was 2 touchdowns away from equaling Michael Pittman, from being a top 15 receiver. Give him 2 more touchdowns, it's a totally different conversation. You're paying a whole different price.
Sure.
Which we have agreed that touchdowns are a very fickle thing. Darnell Mooney can get pushed out at the 2-yard line twice. All of a sudden, he's wide receiver 24 instead of getting in the end zone and being wide receiver 15. It was that close. Volume-wise, this is my argument of why Mooney fits this group of guys that are going to produce based on high volume. When you look at the guys that I think he can finish around, and this is lofty, but I think the need for Mooney in Chicago is going to allow for this.
Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins, I'm not calling him these guys, but this is the group volume-wise that he's falling into. DeAndre Hopkins over 150 targets and 100 catches in 3 straight years before the injury last year. That he's a wide receiver 1 year in and year out.
Okay.
Deontay Johnson, 169 targets, over 100 catches, wide receiver 1. Keenan Allen, 150 targets, 100 catches over the last 5 years. Average over for 5 years. Perennial top 15 guy. DK Metcalf, I can see not being in that group because I don't think the volume is there. We have not seen that kind of volume. He's not that guy. Mooney is somebody that will touch it all over the field. The demand is going to be there. When you watch him, he is as explosive as almost any receiver in the league. He's a 4.3 guy. And then if you want to throw the graphic up, there was so much unrealized volume there yards wise. This is a stat that I'm kind of new to in 2021. I was shown this stat and didn't think much of it, but when you watch the games, you're like, oh my gosh, he was wide open. That was a 50-yard touchdown. That whether Andy Dalton or Justin Fields, whoever, barely overthrew. Darnell Mooney was 13th in the league in air yards. He's getting targets. He's getting targets down the field, which is what he does well. And then unrealized air yards, he's top 10. So
absolutely,
when you're just comparing him to Pittman, which we haven't done yet, but he's in that top 12, top maybe 10 range of A, volume, B, down the field volume, and speed. I mean, Justin Fields throws a nice deep ball. Mooney is exactly what he needs. And I don't think that they're going to bring in a receiver now. It's a little late in the game to go get an all-pro receiver that would just kill volume for Mooney, whether it's a rookie or another, not no name, but lesser talented guy. I could see a Jarvis Landry hurting Mooney because of volume, but It's not Byron Pringle. It's not going to be a rookie. No rookie's going to come in and hurt Mooney's volume. So if you watch that game, it's just going to be Darnell Mooney over and over and over again. You saw it week 9 through 18. He was the wide receiver 12.
So what kind of target volume you think? So I heard you say like 160. Do you think that's about his ceiling?
Yes, that's the high end, but I think 140 is for sure going to happen again. I don't see him getting less targets than he just got.
Okay, because I've got a few concerns in terms of Mooney. I'll kind of dive into Mooney a little bit, and then I'll get on to Pittman. But
okay,
there's a few things that concern me with Mooney. I'm not going to sit here and say Mooney's terrible. He's a great receiver. And I'm going to go on the record and say this is going to be his outlier year. He does not profile as a wide receiver 1. He's 5'10", 5'11", 180
was
pounds.
outlier or this upcoming?
No, this upcoming season will be an outlier season for him.
Okay.
But that's not saying that he's going to outproduce Pittman. That's going to say this is probably going to be how high he'll finish, or the highest he'll finish. A few things. You brought up his target volume, but looking at the other wide receivers who had his target volume and above. Okay, so 140 targets and above. There are 10 other wide receivers who had that kind of volume, Travis, and he's the only one who did not catch more than 90 balls. Okay, so that either tells you one of two things. Either that he's going to catch more, or he's going to get more volume. Let's give him 160. Is he going to catch the all 20 of those balls, Travis? Because
no.
If he exactly. All right, so how many more is he going to catch? Is he going to catch? Let's give him half.
That goes back to Justin Fields. Is he dropping it in there? Is he hitting him?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because Fields isn't exactly the most accurate deep ball thrower. You talked about he likes to throw it deep, for sure. But is he completing them? His clean pocket completion percentage is awful, like really bad. Granted, terrible offensive line, but we've agreed that offensive line isn't exactly markedly improved. If anything, it's possibly gotten worse. He did lead the league in air yards per attempt, but it doesn't exactly lend itself to volume. And then I could also, just as you can argue that the new offense he's in may be better for him, it's not exactly going to guarantee that he's the number 1 quarterback in air yards again. So Darnell Mooney was a benefactor of all those deep targets. But you bring up a lot of good points on Darnell Mooney. I like him a lot. And
he didn't have crazy yards per catch. It wasn't like a Jamar Chase 18 yards per catch. I think it was like 13. Pittman was like 11.
Right.
So it wasn't like he was catching it and just house calling everything.
Right.
It solely falls on Justin Fields and the new system and that improvement into the second year. It's not going to be a Mooney's not good enough. That's my case. He's good enough. He's fast enough to do his thing. The volume will be there. I believe in Justin Fields is what it comes down to.
Okay, and that's fair enough. But I want to flip the page now and talk about the other side of this argument, because we're comparing him and we want to say that he's going to outperform Michael Pittman when we just saw Michael Pittman outperform Mooney with an arguably worse situation. Now, I say worse because his situation just got better. And say what you will.
Enlighten me.
Say what you will about Matt Ryan. He's done some things recently. Let's call last year recently.
I like Matt Ryan. I like Matt Ryan for a long time.
He
gets hated on for nothing.
Been productive. He's really good. He's just old.
Yeah.
Older. But speaking in terms of context of what Michael Pittman's interaction with him is going to be, he's going from a quarterback that was rated 28th in true completion percentage to now a quarterback that's number 11 last year in a much worse situation. Carson Wentz was behind a good offensive line, granted a beat up offensive line, but his completion percentage suffered. Matt Ryan, you could arguably say, was in a much worse situation and still managed to complete better passes. His accuracy rating, Matt Ryan, he was number 8 in the league, whereas the average depth of throw or average yards per attempt very similar in Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan. So it's not like Matt Ryan is dumping off, little dink and dunk throws, and then Carson Wentz is trying things down the field. They're very similar in their average yards per attempt. Matt Ryan was just completing more of them, and now we'll have a better opportunity to do so. He was number 14. Matt Ryan was in catchable pass rate, while Carson Wentz was 32nd. This is getting kind of numbery, but these numbers are huge in context in terms of giving Pittman the credit he deserves, because there are a few more stats that really matter in terms of telling you, okay, is this guy only a 5 touchdown, 6 touchdown, 1,000-yard guy, or is there more to him? Matt Ryan was number 2 in accuracy rate versus man coverage last year, and Michael Pittman was number 3 in total route wins last year. And now he has a more accurate quarterback this year. He had 6 touchdowns, Travis. You tell me he has a more accurate quarterback, a quarterback who I will say does not steal rushing touchdowns.
True.
And now you're going to tell me that I think 6 is his floor this year.
Absolutely.
I think
if he doesn't get 8 touchdowns, I'll be shocked.
For sure. I mean,
8 feels low.
Yeah.
It's not about red zone for me. It's not about, is he good? To me, it's just, when I watch him, again, I don't know why I'm stuck on speed, but speed kills, man, and he is not that guy.
It's not like Michael Pittman's slow. I mean, the guy runs a 4.5 at 6'4", 230.
Over the last half of 2021, he was outside the top 20. So,
but that team, he had Carson Wentz and a beat up offensive line. Like,
from week 9 on, same time period, Darnell Mooney was a wide receiver 1 with Justin Fields and Andy Dalton.
Sure, absolutely.
It is going to come down to touchdowns, but
it probably will be.
Do you think that Pittman will have elite volume? Is he a 140 target guy, 150 target guy?
Well, he just had 130 targets last year. So
okay.
I think he can get to 100. I mean, give him 140, sure. I think you can get above that. I mean, he's going to have some target competition, sure, this year. But right now, who do they have? I mean, you're talking about his options are a rookie, maybe an old T.Y. Hilton, an old Julio Jones. I mean, they don't really have a ton of weapons right now. Even if a Jarvis Landry comes in, I think that's actually a net positive for Pittman, because extended drives, you have more scoring drives.
If Jarvis Landry goes to the Colts, he will have more catches than Michael Pittman will.
Maybe.
I think not good for somebody trying to finish inside the top 12 to 15.
I mean, look, that's not true,
because 2 guys that's not enough volume when there's 2 of you.
Well, I mean, you just said that,
unless it's just elite touchdown numbers like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Brady's throwing 50.
Well, sure, but he's also got Matt Ryan now. Matt Ryan is not mobile, so he's going to have to throw it in the red zone. They have Jonathan Taylor.
All right, so where do you think you like Pittman? I'm not sold on Pittman. I think I think he finishes worse this year than he did last year as far as where he finishes the year ranks.
Sure.
I don't have him inside my top 15 again. Where do you have him? Let's look at that group again and see, is he volume-wise, is he going to be able to do it touchdown-wise? Does Matt Ryan lift him into the category of the Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, yeah. I think he does. There's a stat, there's a number that actually playerprofiler.com tracks. It's called target premium. And it's funny that we're talking about this exact thing, because what the target premium actually tracks, Travis, is that it's a metric that it's especially useful when examining the impact of a quarterback upgrade on a player's future projection, or future production, rather. And whereas Michael Pittman was number 32 in target premium, Darnell Mooney was 54. Take that for what you will. It just tells me that there's more meat on the bone for Michael Pittman than there is for Darnell Mooney. Because the upgrade that Justin Fields, let's call it an upgrade just because we're saying he should improve in his second year. There's more pieces to support the Colts right now than there are on the Bears. And I think touchdowns on a good offense are going to be easier to come by than what I think 6 touchdowns. I don't maybe for Darnell Mooney, but I don't want to even call that a guarantee because how many touchdowns do we think Justin Fields is going to throw? I don't think it's a lock to give him 25 passing touchdowns. Like it's going to be a rough year in Chicago.
Man, why do I have this Bears fever right now? Why have you
I don't know.
rubbed off
It's probably
on me?
spread. It's probably spread.
I get one share of Justin Fields and watch Justin Fields highlights all day and think,
Don't worry. The
it
ointment to
coming.
cure it is typically watching the Packers destroy them. So, yeah, I'm sure you'll be fine when that
Devontae's
comes around.
gone, okay?
Yeah,
Devontae
but
is gone.
here comes he came. You know what? Devontae's like, look, Rodgers, I'm sorry, I'm gonna leave. I did get you a gift though, Darren Waller.
Yeah,
Look
because
what I found.
I don't need Darren Waller crowding my space. That's what he's saying.
No, but that's where we're at, man. I think that's
okay. Where are you with Darnell Mooney now after the argument?
Darnell Mooney, look, he's gonna finish.
Is he around 20?
He's
over
like
under wide receiver 20?
He's over. I think he's wide receiver like 18.
So better. Okay.
Yeah, and I think
you've got Pittman.
Michael Pittman's probably wide receiver 14, 13.
All right. All these things that we get to track when the NFL comes around in 5 more months.
Yeah. Yeah, we've only got forever to
Noted.
Yeah, put it on the list. Oh.
All right, what's next? What do we got?
Well, you know what? We don't have pictures of his leg right now to throw up on the screen, but we do have Quadzilla to talk about. Saquon Barkley. This is just one of the few topics that we can kind of mull around, as I don't think his situation is bound to be largely impacted. Like, I don't think there's going to be someone the Giants bring in and truly affect the workload Saquon should get. I mean, you're talking minimally this guy is going to be affected by anyone coming in. I think he's that level of talent. My only question is, what kind of offense can the pieces that currently comprise the Giants roster reasonably put together? Because that offense right now has been ugly, not just for a year, but 2 years, 3 years. Saquon Barkley has not been able to be healthy because of the shots shots he's had to take, the opportunities the defense has to get at him because they just cannot protect him well, and the style of running he likes to use. And I have questions about Saquon Barkley. I want him, this whole narrative that Saquon Barkley is going to have this breakout year again and be first year Saquon Barkley is far from a guarantee in my book.
Yeah.
You still have Daniel Jones as your quarterback. And best case scenario, you have Tyrod Taylor. And Saquon Barkley is going to probably get a lot of work. I won't deny that. But you're asking him to, again, run into a wood chipper and hope he stays healthy. Now you got more ligament damage, more hamstrings that you could pull. Everyone's one ligament away, Travis, as we say.
Yeah,
so I have questions, mainly right now, Travis, is he worth the cost you're going to have to pay for him in dynasty and or redraft to have him on your roster over the other guys at those positions?
So the price that you're paying right now is ADP is around 52. So that's into the 4th, beginning of the 5th round.
And redraft, he's probably going to be a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, I can see into the 2nd for sure. Especially in home leagues because people recognize the name and don't realize it's been 3 years since he was that guy.
They were left.
I think he's been unlucky. I will probably err on he will outproduce ADP in most formats. Now, if he's drafted mid-2nd round over some high-level guys, then that's probably foolish. But would you take him over James Conner?
Yeah, I would take him over James Conner. I think
In
the upside, I
redraft?
like him there. In redraft, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So he's going around Conner, Breece Hall, Cam Akers,
Yep.
Josh Jacobs. That's the
Yeah,
price that you're paying. You're gonna have to decide between Barkley, Akers, and Jacobs, and
right,
maybe Gibson. I think Gibson should go a little earlier as it stands now.
right. Talking about that group, sure, I could honestly, you're getting to the point where the argument is none of those other guys, in my opinion, have the upside that Barkley has.
Right.
I can say that. He's a Saquon, or he's not Saquon. He is Saquon, but he's a Christian McCaffrey level talent.
You don't have
So
Akers in that group. You said this yesterday. You don't have Akers in that group. Is that because, like yesterday, you said Darrell Henderson's not going anywhere?
right.
Is that the hindrance, or is it the fear of not trusting the injury? Because that offense is going to be legit. Again,
Yeah.
he's going to
No,
have
the offense
a
will be good.
chance at 15 touchdowns.
I truly
So,
believe that Henderson is not going anywhere. I
okay.
think that Cam Akers, he's in the lower end of that second tier of running backs. He's closer to a J.K. Dobbins than he is a Saquon Barkley, but he's still going to
Okay.
produce. He's below Antonio Gibson in my book, but
Yep.
he's not far
We're
below.
hot. We love Antonio Gibson, though. A lot of people are
He's scaring me, man. We
they
can talk about
love,
that too.
first of all, they still love JD McKissick, even though
They
with
do.
JD McKissick, Antonio Gibson was very, very good.
They're
Top 10
also
running back.
bringing in running backs in the draft to visit with
Yeah,
them,
so
and
it could change quick, but if they don't, if that's just window dressing, and I know you say they don't waste those visits, but
yeah.
we don't know why teams always do that. But
For all right, so for context for people who don't know what those visits are, though, they're the top 30 visits. Each team is only allotted 30 visits with prospects to visit with and to get some more insider information to have conversations with. So teams likely don't waste those picks, but I see your point that maybe they're just trying to throw out misinformation. I mean, there's plenty of other ways to do that. I personally
I
wouldn't waste
don't
a
think
visit.
you I don't yeah, but as far as thinking like showing your hand, if there's
Right.
somebody in the second, third round that
Mhm.
you really like, you're probably not bringing them in for a visit. You're letting them know that on the down low, because you start bringing them in, people are going to be like, why are they bringing him in? Now I'm
Sure.
scared that they might take him and they get sniped. It's that kind of mindset for me of keeping all your cards close to your chest. We'll just bring
Yeah.
in most of the same guys that everybody's bringing in,
Right.
and then you don't know exactly what we're going to do. I can't see them bringing in a high level running back to quote unquote compete with Gibson. They don't need to do that. He's fine. He was not their problem.
Yeah, and you know what? And if NFL teams operated solely on logic, then I would
True.
100% believe you. But we have
Yeah.
seen so many people ruin fantasy football because you know what? Bill Belichick don't care about your team,
Yes, this is
and
true.
that's just kind of where we're at with it. But speaking about Saquon specifically in this context, I'm taking him over all of those guys because of the upside, and
Okay. That would make us much higher on Barkley than the consensus. Right now,
that's
he's
that's a
our
weird
2022
flavor.
RB 20 to 23, which to me is
Oh,
way
that's
too low.
that's I feel like that's the offense is gonna be bad. But I don't think it's gonna be what it's been the last 2 years. The last 2 years it's been inept. It's been criminally neglected and mismanaged. But I'm gonna sit here and tell you that Brian Daboll knows what he wants and he's setting a tone and he's got 2 early picks in this draft. I think one of them will
Mhm.
be a defensive edge. I think one of them is going to be an offensive lineman, shore up that line, protect whoever's throwing the ball. And I think Saquon Barkley should have an improved year. I'm not sitting here
Yeah.
saying that he's going to be as bad or as poor of a performer in fantasy terms that he's been the last 2 years because we know injury has been a thing. And we always assume health, as dangerous as that may be. I think Saquon is the level of talent that you want on your roster, and you're kind of crossing your fingers that the team improves. But I also think that it's really hard to finish 3 years in a row as the worst offense in the league. So I think there is going to be
Yeah.
an improvement. So we'll
What about
see.
two of your guys? I want to finish the comparisons with two guys that when you see them on the board gives you a little bit of discomfort because you like them so much. Travis Etienne and Elijah Mitchell, are they not at Barkley's level for you?
Etienne, the level of talent, I think he's closer to like an Antonio Gibson. I think he's just above Antonio Gibson to me.
So you're taking him over Barkley
right now. Sure. Yes.
I know for a fact that if we were in a draft and they were there, you're taking ETN.
I would take ETN. I'm probably going to get ETN in every draft because I'll probably be higher than everyone else.
Yes.
But him, Elijah Mitchell, I like that Trey Lance mobile quarterback system. You know what? If Debo is gone, you're going to need someone to really pound the rock. No one stays healthy in that system. I know I said to assume health, but you can't with that offense. Like it is a meat grinder. And you know what? This is a nice looking chop of Elijah Mitchell, and he'll come out as ground meat right after that. So
that's jacked up.
But it's true.
Nice knowing you, Elijah. You playing for the wrong team.
But I like Elijah Mitchell. Damian Harris makes me uncomfortable because I don't. There's the state of all New England backfields really makes me uncomfortable. So
I would not be shocked at all if Saquon Barkley had a top 10 season. At all.
Sure. No, why would
even on the Giants with Daniel Jones? He's that good. He's been unlucky.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan. I'm a fan of watching him play. He has that gear that we talked about, that Breece Hall, just to kind of come full circle.
Yeah.
Breece Hall dreams about the gear that Barkley and DeAndre Swift have. And that's a great dream to have. I hope he watches these highlight films of these other guys and thinks, I need that to be a top 15 running back, because that is kind of what he's going to need.
You know who really makes me uncomfortable in this tier is Joe Mixon. 100% Joe Mixon.
Is he fool's gold right now?
I don't know, man. He's had one healthy season, really. And
he's been healthier than you think. He really has.
He just had I think one of his best seasons. And I want to believe that offense is just like everything is roses in the offseason. Everything is perfect. Everyone's going to stay healthy forever. And I don't know, because this offense,
their O-line got a lot better, man.
This offense should be a rocket ship. Like it is the moon. It is not going to the moon. It is the moon.
But, so anytime somebody's going to the moon, they're going to Cincinnati. That's the new organic development of this joke. Okay.
Right. Yeah. We're on to the moon.
We're on to Cincinnati. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on to the moon. I like it.
We're on to the moon. Yeah. Joe Mixon kind of makes me uncomfortable because of who you have to take him over. I love Nick Chubb this year if Deshaun Watson doesn't face any repercussions. Which,
I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want you taking him in our home leagues. But I think Nick Chubb has his best career year by a lot.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah. All right. So does that mean by default that you think Kareem Hunt is also going to have a good year?
No. If he's there, Kareem Hunt will be productive. But don't we think Kareem Hunt's not going to be there? Isn't that the gut feeling you have?
Contract-wise, it doesn't make sense to keep him.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Dearness.
Rarely do they pay the third guy, and they just paid Dearness.
You would save $6 million against the cap right now for Kareem Hunt. So I could see getting rid of him, and it would cost you pretty much nothing to get rid of him.
I've seen on Twitter people saying if Kareem Hunt goes, Nick Chubb pre-ranking and should be a top 5 running back.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. With that team, that offensive line.
It's hard to say because passing volume is not his thing.
Right.
You kind of need that, but he's going to give
Derrick
you
Henry's thing either. So
yeah, Nick Chubb could actually give you 1,600 to 1,800 yards.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
Yeah.
He gets the type of workload. And with a quarterback like that, that offense is going to open up. Boy, yeah, you know what? It's just going to be so much fun. I love kind of trying to project what's going to happen. And we're at the time of year where that's really all we have. And
speaking of projections, what do you have coming up this week? You're going to be a busy man.
I do have a busy schedule, so I'm throwing a little bit of a shindig. Opening night of the draft. It's called a
Nice.
shindig. I'm having some family over.
Are they calling it a
But
shindig?
sure, why not? It digs
Is
the
it
shin.
officially a shindig?
Yeah, absolutely. But
It's a
on
shindig.
the second night of the draft, rounds 2 and 3, I will be doing a live stream. We'll be having some conversations, some jokes.
Can't wait.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll be posting a what's it called on Twitter, and
A link?
yeah, sure. That's what they call those things. The clicky thing, the clicky button, blue
Okay. One of
sentence.
the underlined ones? Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that the pop up things.
All right, so rounds 2 and 3.
Rounds
A
2 and
lot
3.
of Dustin's face in the camera.
Oh, so much
What the
of my
people want,
face.
man.
Travis, that was a fun episode 50.
It didn't get as contentious as I would have liked.
Yeah,
I
because
feel
you
like we should have been
folded.
enemies at some point.
You folded on your man. I thought you were gonna really hate Breece Hall. I wanted people to look back on this and be like, "Wow, Travis doesn't know anything."
I
And now,
feel no, maybe now we're gonna get contentious because I started the argument by saying I don't think he actually sucks. However, he's not an RB1. He will not be an RB1 for sure next year. He doesn't have the juice. The eye test says he's Royce Freeman. That was
wow,
disrespectful.
that was disrespectful.
But if I had to say it again at the end of this show, I think he has about the same amount of bust potential as Royce Freeman has.
If he goes to the Bills, he is an RB1.
That's your statement. That's the closing statement.
That is the show.
All
That
right,
is episode 50, everybody.
My final statement is Mooney over Pittman. Do with it what you will.
Remember, everybody, losing sucks. Don't do it. Thanks for listening. Bye.